Hi everyone, Angela Guanzini here with your chairside chat for the week, scanning an impression with NEVO. Want to know the improved, efficient technique that NEVO technology provides? Me too, so let's get started. This week's objectives: proper trimming of the triple tray. Now regardless if you have the classic system or the NEVO system, a triple tray must be trimmed back, so all of that excess material that's kind of sunk into the vestibule must be trimmed back with a lab knife. We'll also be covering a new impression scanning technique if you're using the NEVO scanner. And then different options that we have when scanning an impression to be able to create occlusion with our restorations. So new with NEVO is that we don't have to pour up impressions any longer. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we must trim away that excess. And having pristine impressions, I use the term garbage in, garbage out, meaning you must be able to clearly identify margins, no bubbles, because you cannot adjust that data once within our software. So let's kind of back it up a bit. No pouring up impressions. So currently, with our classic system, you have an impression, and you can scan in the impression, but then how do you create the bite? How do you create the occlusion? Well, with the classic system, we pour up the preparation side of the triple tray, and then we set the blue bite or the blue registration, your blue mousse, whatnot, that little button bite on top of the preparation and then scan that in. Well, with the NEVO system, we're going to be able to scan in the prep side of the triple tray, the opposing side of the triple tray, and then you'll be able to scan the buccal bite intraorally. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So heading into the software, now you have the option, you can scan the patient's buccal bite first, or you can scan in the impression tray, the preparation and the opposing. It just all depends on timing for you and what's available. So what I did was I took a triple tray on myself. I obviously don't have a preparation, but you'll get the idea. So scanning in the preparation side of an impression. I have my impression tray trimmed back, so all of the excess is off of the buccal and the lingual side so that I can get nice and close to the impression. So on the left-hand side of the screen, remember the green means proper focal distance. The red is indicating that I'm further away. Well, of course I'm further away. This is an inverted, this is an impression which is inverted versus when I'm scanning a stone model or scanning intraorally, we obviously have the actual teeth, not just impression material. So you're seeing red. Red is indicating that I'm far away, but that's okay. It's still capturing data. So I did occlusal surface first, then my right rotations, and now a left rotation. And what I want you to see is that that data is really getting picked up along that gingival contour of both the buccal and the lingual sides. Now here comes the new technique. You'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, I am turning perpendicular with the occlusal plane. So now I'm able to rotate from side to side. We call it the NEVO slide. Side to side to capture the interproximal data, which is always the most difficult area to capture when you're scanning an impression. So perpendicular with the occlusal plane and a side to side motion to capture that interproximal data. When the screen turns orange on the right hand side, just back it up to an area that you've already captured. So it looks like I've captured my data. We'll go ahead and generate the model. Remember, you can generate the model by pressing the M on the keypad of your NEVO laptop or by left-clicking on Generate Model. So we've got our inverted impression, and now the fastest setting stone in the dental world, left-click on the impression tray, and now the impression will invert into a positive. So our negative turns into our positive, and we can evaluate our data to ensure that we've captured 100% of the data that we need. Now I don't have a preparation, but you can see from using that scanning technique, there was not a whole lot that I missed. We always want to ensure that we're trimming our model from both the buccal and the lingual sides of the stone model, And that's to make sure that it helps with alignment of our data sets. So make sure and get away the flash, the cheek, the tongue, or in this case, the excess impression material. Left click on the erase function to generate those changes. And now we'll be ready to move on to scanning the opposing side of our triple tray. So I've just simply flipped over the impression tray, the triple tray, and now I'm scanning. Same exact scan technique. Straight, parallel with the occlusal plane from the distal all the way to the mesial. And then when I'm scanning the opposing, I need 100% of my occlusal data as well as 100% of the buccal. So you see with just that slight rotation towards the buccal, you can see all of the data being captured right at that gingival contour. Now I want you to take a note. Quickly look in the left-hand corner of my screen. You'll notice that the scanner looks as if it's not connected. The tip is not showing up as being connected. This is not a problem. You can clearly see I was scanning with that. Every once in a while, the scanner will show up, or the tip will look like a ghost, although it was still connected and still scanning. This is perfectly normal and fine. By simply just taking the tip off and then connecting it back on, it will go ahead and show up as active. I just wanted you to know you can still scan that way. All right, so now I've inverted the opposing side. You can see I did not capture my lingual, but I captured 100% of the buccal, as well as 100% of the occlusal data. Erasing from the buccal and the lingual sides of the stone model, so excess cheek, tongue, or in this case, that impression material. Generate the model by clicking on the erase function a second time to take into consideration those changes. I've just reconnected the tip. Now look in the lower left-hand corner. You can see that the NEVO now is green, meaning it's heated and ready to go. But again, I still scanned without it being green. Ready to do the buccal. Now this is what's different. I'm going to scan myself intraorally. So I place the NEVO inside. Then I activate and turn the NEVO on. So using a serpentine up and down motion to capture the buccal bite data. I obviously recorded this on the software, but you can see I'm doing my own teeth, scanning myself in fact, which is always fun, the buccal bite. So intraoral buccal bite scanning, that's going to align the data to my impression, triple tray, preparation, and opposing scans. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the alignment tab. Okay, as I can see it's busy aligning. And sometimes when I'm trying to link impression data to intraoral data, I need to just go ahead and self-align it. So when I self-align that data, just as with our classic system, you're going to pick exact gingival contour to exact gingival contour. So not tooth structure, but gingival contour, release, it'll snap into place. Same thing with the opposing. Grab exact gingival contour, click, drag, and drop to exact gingival contour, release, and it snaps into place. And we've got a nice, beautiful, perfect alignment from an impression tray, no pouring up a stone model, and scanning that buccal bite intraorally. So very efficient, nice, fun way to go ahead and be able to use an impression if need be. And now I would continue on like normal, exiting out of the alignment tab so that I can go into the margin tab and set my orientation. Orientation, remember that was first steps. We just are looking at the buccal lingual rotation, so leveling out the occlusal table, checking from the distal view, aligning the cusps, and then evening out the cusp height. And from the buccal view, ensuring that if tooth number 13 was my preparation, that the marginal ridges are parallel to that red line. Accepting the orientation and proceeding with marking my margin. So this week's objectives, making sure that everybody's properly trimming away that excess that excess impression material from the buccal and lingual sides of the impression tray. This helps to get us very, very close to the occlusal data of our teeth. So we're not doing any hovering, but sliding that NEVO, just gliding from that very distal across the occlusal table. So the closer we can get to the teeth, the better. The new impression scanning technique with NEVO, being able to, after I've scanned in the occlusal table and then done my right rotation to capture either the buccal or lingual and then the left rotation to capture the other, being able to then gradually rotate 90 degrees so that now I am exactly perpendicular with the occlusal table or the occlusal plane, and then doing a right to left slide or a little slight rotation to capture that interproximal data. Options for occlusion with an impression. So I just showed you being able to scan intraorally the buccal bite while using a triple tray, and you can still always use that classic technique that we've taught before, where you would take the triple tray, you can scan in the impression of the triple tray, or excuse me, the preparation on the triple tray, and or pour it up into a stone model, then to place the button bite, a blue mousse, directly over the preparation to then scan that in for the occlusion. Thank you so much for watching. Love doing the chairside chats and always look forward to hearing from you and your ideas. Let me know things that you're doing and trying out in the field. And email Diane Mazzarella, dmazzarella@e4d.com, head of our education department. Or you can always call our corporate number 972-234-3880 and ask for the education department. Until next week, happy scanning.